Well, the Republican National Committee is making its push to the Latino community once again tonight. Members of the RNC here in Georgia holding a roundtable today to target the impacts of public safety. The roundtable discussion was held at the RNC Hispanic American Community Center in Suwanee. The event was hosted by Georgia Insurance Commissioner John King and other Hispanic American leaders and volunteers. Today's discussion touched on the topic of defunding the police and how this could jeopardize hiring more bilingual officers to communicate more efficiently with residents.
When departments, when cities start making cuts, the first places to go is, they say they have all these positions open, but they're authorized but not funded. And it's basically moving budget around, and that's just another way of not having police officers in the neighborhood. And recruiting police officers that can speak Spanish, that can be culturally aware and culturally astute, which is a great need in our community.
The roundtable discussion also allowed those who attended to come up with ways to improve the tense relationship between law enforcement and the Latino community.